All right, we have basically two big problems on card 4, and our first one tells us that we are looking, or we're given that the measure of angle 7 is 100, and we want to find the measure of each angle. So it's probably better just to look and fill out all the angles first, and then go back and fill out the ones that we want to write down the measurements for. So basically, we are told that we have line S parallel to T, parallel to U, and that our transversal coming through all of those is M. So that's going to help us with our measurements here. And we are told that the measure of angle 7 is 100. So I'm going to start by putting that in here as 100. And then there's a variety of different ways that you can start this. Just because you don't think about it the way that I think about it doesn't mean you're incorrect. But here's what I would say. I would say that angle 5 then is 100 because it is a vertical angle, and that this would be 80 because it is a linear pair, and same with this one here. And now what we have, since all three of these lines are parallel to one another, this is just going to build out from there. So angle 5 and angle 2 would have to be consecutive interior angles, and so that would make this an 80, and this by vertical angles, this would be your 100, this would be your 100. But there's a lot of different ways to get to this. For example, this 80 and this 80 would be corresponding. So it's really just how you think through the problem. As we go over here, this would have to be 100, this would have to be 80, this would have to be 100, and this would have to be 80, and this would have to be 100. So let's go through now, and it asks us for specific angles here. So angle 9 right here is 100. Angle 8 is 80. Angle 5 is 100. Angle 6 right here is 80. Angle 2 is 80. And angle 11 is 100. Keep in mind that it's always very important to determine which lines are parallel to one another, not just to assume that they are parallel. Make sure that you're looking at that given information as well as the notation. So let's go and look at the second problem on card 4. Let me move this over. All right, so if we look at what is given to us and then what is asked of us, so starting with the parallel lines, notice that we are only told that this line is parallel to this line, okay? We are not given that X is parallel to W. Those are just transversals. That is probably going to play a role in how we figure out our angles here. And now let's look at our given information. The first thing that we're given is that the measure of angle 3 is 85. So we'll start there with the measure of angle 3 is 85. If we go to fill in what we know from that piece of information, this would be 85 also, vertical angles. We would then know angle 4 and angle 7 would have the same measure, and that it would have to be 95 because we would be making up linear pairs. If we continue up to the other side of this, angles 1, 2, 5, and 6, we're going to be able to look at that pattern and say, well, if 3 is 85, then 2 would have to be 95 because those are consecutive interior angles. They need to be supplementary. Angle 5 would then be 95. Angle 1 would be 85, as well as angle 6. Now what we have to be careful about is that we just don't go and duplicate this pattern on angles 9, 10, 13, 14, and 11, 12, 15, 16. Because look at what we're given here. We're given that the measure of angle 10 is 105. And the reason why that is that we only have one set of parallel lines here. Remember we said at the beginning that W is not parallel to X, and so therefore we're going to have two different patterns of special angles here. So if 10 is 105, 13 is 105, 9 and 14 would both be 75. And then if we jump over to the other side here, 14 and 15 would have to be consecutive interior angles, and so that's going to be 105. 12 and 15 would have to be the same vertical, and then 11 and 16 would both have to be 75. And then we can take and fill in the information that's asked for us. Angle 2 is 95. Angle 7 is 95. Angle 14 is 75. Angle 5 is 95. Angle 15 is 105. And angle 9 is 75. So always a good strategy just to completely fill in all the angles first, and then go back and put in what you have been asked, those different angle measures.